Aloha all. Well, it's drizzling here this morning, but we really have been pretty short of precipitation, even over here in the Puna rainforest. I see by the maps this morning, we are now noted as significantly dry. We did have one of the little green stripes in the map where we had enough rain. Now they're saying it's going away here too, so we don't have the water. But in the meantime, wow, did anybody see what happened at Death Valley? Wow. I don't know, have you ever traveled there in the past? It was quite interesting, and it's really hot. I couldn't really make out the temperature on the sign in the news when I looked at it. It looked like it said 137 degrees in the Death Valley temperature sign, but I don't know. It's digital readout, and who knows, goofy. Anyway, it was really hot. Really hot, like it often gets there. But torrential rain ripped out the roads, trapped people. I guess they're still working on trying to get tourists out of there. And the employees, too. There were a whole bunch of people got trapped. It was just within the teeniest little margin of being the biggest rainfall that ever fell in Death Valley, at least in the 111 years, I believe, since they started recording the weather over there. It's pretty much a match for the highest rainfall they've ever seen. Don't know what it means. I know it looked like it was really hot on the climate maps this morning. So Death Valley is washed out, but Puna is now in unusually dry conditions. All right, so the wettest places in the United States are drying out, and the driest places are getting wet. You know, I've been saying for a long time that climate change is the climate change. People talk about, global warming, I'm going to grow oranges in Seattle. Nah, I think it means more like the weather's going to get nuts. It becomes erratic, horribly erratic. Yeah, for maybe a year or two, you will grow orange trees in Seattle, and then you'll be lucky if you can grow cherries. Yeah, I'm afraid that things will be like this. It's not going to be the evenness that we all remember from the 20th century. 20th century was really pretty smooth weather compared to what we're going into. But we are getting a little bit of rain here this morning. All right, so I still have pineapple slips for the Hilo white pineapples. That's good. Yeah, and so people looking for those. I'm all right with it. I haven't been out too much this week harvesting, but there's more of them out there, and I can bring them in. I got a bunch of them sitting here next to me, so we're all right there. I'm getting requests, though, for Florida landrace, and that's going to be eventually, but for some reason or another, the crop is extremely erratic. I have plants that are pre-flower, plants in mid-flower, plants in green hard fruit, and this morning I did just finally get one first, the ripe fruit. So I have everything from ripe fruit to plants that didn't do anything yet. They're all going to get around to doing something sooner or later, and what I'm getting looks pretty good quality too, but coming up with enough slips for these orders is not going to be the easiest thing to do. We'll see, but because I have several people looking for them, I might have to put limits on them this year. I'm thinking I might go with a 10 slip limit. It sounds about right. And so in that case, I think I could find enough of them to get them to spread around. Everybody was looking for them. Maybe. Always, bear in mind though, I get people wanting, I want 400 slips. I want 400 slips and so on. And yeah, it makes sense, but I'm the guy with the pineapple slips, right? I'm the guy with the pineapples. We started with 5 white pineapples and never brought another white pineapple onto the farm. We started with 5. So we took the tops of 5 pineapples and planted them. That's what started this business. When I acquired the Florida landrace, I acquired one little slip from the USDA repository. Now, it's taken me a few years to get things worked up here, but I am in a situation where with those two, they're gradually been reaching some sort of commercial level. I'll admit that with the Floridas, I have not been replanting the fields. With the whites, we did that. We took our stuff for years and we put it back in the field, put it back in the field, put it back in the field. I'm not doing that with the Floridas. Keeping it to one specific batch over there, and pretty much because of the demand, I've just been selling all the slip sucker stops. Yeah. Yep, they're all going away, so I'm not increasing the amount that I have, so they probably won't increase. But I pulled one in this morning, and I've been bringing in some of the Gila white pineapples too. And I don't know, anybody been around the channel for a while might remember when Ellen made me a pineapple pie. Now, that pineapple pie was kind of a blend of maybe about 70% Gila white and maybe about 30% Florida landrace mixed together. The two of them in combination in that pie was, it was heavenly. It was just marvelous. It was so good. Yeah, it was so good. And I noticed there was a pastry cutter laying on the counter this morning. I got a feeling she was just shopping at the thrift store again, and that's where it came from. But I'm looking at that pastry cutter and thinking, somebody gonna make me some pie dough? I don't need a pie, right? What we need and what we get and what we want, yeah, it's all different stuff. I've also had requests about the Mysore black raspberries. As usual, I'm behind the 8 ball with propagation. I did a bunch of cuttings a couple of weeks back. The cuttings are in mass groups in containers. They're rooting. So the Mysore have some roots on the bottom. I wouldn't bet there's a whole lot of roots, but they're there. Today, one of my projects will be taking them from the bulk containers, moving them to individual pots, and probably giving them a couple more weeks in the nursery to really kind of flush out and look fluffy. It should be good pretty soon. If you gotta have one, I probably have some I could part with today, but they're going to be a little scrawny looking at the moment. But in a couple weeks, I should have some more real pretty Mysore raspberry. I just got a phone call here, dragged me away from the camera. It's my one of the YouTube viewers, Kevin. He's been coming up and helping me a couple times every week here. Well, it might be exceptionally dry in Puna, but we canceled for today because it's raining. Yeah. So with Death Valley flooding, I really don't know how much impact that's having on the reservoirs out west. I hope that means that some water got in there. It's just earlier this year they wiped out the roads in Yellowstone. I don't ever remember that happening either. Yellowstone isn't wet. It's kind of typical western climate. And so it's generally not very rainy there either. It's wet enough to support pine trees. They have trees. And buffalo. Well, I see the cops in Honolulu had to run down an active shooter in Waikiki. It's pretty wacky, isn't it? I don't know. If somebody out there probably has this, and they can tell me, but I'm not familiar with people running around in Waikiki on the beach with a gun in their hand. I don't remember this ever happening. Usually people in bikinis with beach balls. So we are having some psychological issues, it looks like. I don't know much about the story. Nobody got hurt. I guess no shots were fired even. I was impressed with the cops. Took them down en masse, holding the gun. They just piled on them. It's good work. You really wouldn't want to have to open fire with a SWAT team on Waikiki Beach. It could mess with tourism a little bit, I think. Yeah, that would be a good thing. But, this type of thing, you've long been at risk in Honolulu to get your pocket picked. You've long been at risk maybe to get your purse snatched, okay? Well, ever since there's been smartphones and mopeds, you might have gotten your moped and your smartphone ripped off. Yeah, well, it's a big city, there's cockroaches everywhere. But, most of the time when something violent happened, it was ordinarily connected to some kind of passion. Guy thought his girlfriend was cheating, or, that type of thing. Usually, typically, I guess, also, probably drug and alcohol fueled too, help propel things. Arguments with neighbors. Somebody comes out with a machete, but it's not. We're seeing way more than that now. I don't know. Yeah, I think I know, but the world is pretty much the way you see it. If you all want a recession, just go ahead and figure we got one. It kind of works that way. Once people start heading in a certain direction psychologically, most of us follow, and then reality follows as a trailer in tow, and so it becomes real when we start thinking about it most of the time. There have been times that I can recall where there was acute fear and anxiety in the country. Cuban Missile Crisis, Cold War, I remember, we were being trained to duck under desks, or how to survive a nuclear attack by, going out in the hallway and rolling up into a ball against a wall and so on like this. People were digging bomb shelters all over. It was kind of like toilet paper shortages in COVID, like that, stocking them, wondering about what had happened once they locked themselves in after the bombs fell, if the neighbors come by, are you going to leave them out to die, or what are you going to, you don't have enough food for everybody, maybe they're contaminated, yeah, it was that bad. There's a few old TV shows about that sort of thing, even too. You can go back, I don't know, on Outer Limits or One Step Beyond or something, I think. Maybe Twilight Zone. I just remember black and white, pretty creepy, Cold War thing. Yeah, we were terrified. I remember I was scared. I was a kid, I was pretty frightened by the whole thing. I was glad when it blew over. And we didn't end up in World War III. But I don't know, I communicate with quite a few people because of the channel, both, in comments and in emails on the side, and fear's rampant. It's huge. It's so strong out there. Everybody's afraid of everything. I get this end here because my channel, I talk about land and so on, and there's a movement of people moving to try to find safety, whether it's from the weather, from evil politics, from guns and craziness. There's a lot of reasons why they're moving around, but I'm getting a lot of them talking to me here, and it's palpable. The fear at the basis of the motivation for why people want to come here to Hawaii. You can taste it. they ask me questions, about will my stuff be stolen? Is it safer than, this place or that place? Hell, I don't know. I don't live that way, see? Yeah, that's the problem. I'm the worst guy to ask questions like that of, because I live on the same planet with the rest of you, but I don't live in the same world. There's only one thing in this world that I am definitely afraid of. It's me. Yes, I am the most fearful thing that I know of. I can send myself into the stupidest situations, man, oh man. Deadly, dangerous situations. I'm the most dangerous thing that I know of. Everything else is tiered down, I don't fear death. I welcome death. I don't want it now, but when its time comes, cool. I don't have this, these fears of things. Like that. It's, I think probably fear of dying, it may be somewhere there in the basis of all this. But, I fear, you watch any of my old videos, you'll know that I've said this many times. Fear is an idiot light on the dashboard of life. That's all it is. It just means the light came on. When the light comes on, what does it mean? Well, it means maybe you better get out and pull the dipstick out of the engine and see if your oil level's okay. Well, if the oil level's okay, but the oil light came on, it could be more or less. You could have lost the oil pump, it ain't going around anymore, or maybe the oil sending unit went bad. Fairly minor little gizmo. It happens sometimes. Maybe your gauge broke, maybe, but I wouldn't bet on that without checking into it further. So you want to look at it. And so fear means analysis, observation. All right, to compare it into the garden, I figure the difference between a green thumb gardener and a black or brown thumb gardener, I like black. The black thumb gardener, sees a problem, so there's some observation. There's very little analysis, but there's a lot of action. There you go, right to it. Now, green thumb gardener, on the other hand, sees a problem and studies it. Attempt to analyze it. Then they decide as to whether this really is a problem. Do we need to address it? If we do address it, how do we address it? And so on. And so they work things down to specifics in a logical process to where they can, make a coherent decision about the light that came out of the dashboard. You see aphids in your orange tree. Right? Yeah, we're afraid there's bugs in the tree. And so we need to probably do something about it, But, as a green thumb gardener, now one of the first places I'm going to go when I see that is I'm going to get up there and I'm going to look at the colonies. I go, all right, we got aphids all over this thing again. Let's see. Are there ants flowing up and down the trunk of the tree? Usually, because they're the ones that farm the aphids. Okay. Then, how much natural predation and parasite control are we getting in the aphid colonies? Do we see the tiny little fruit fly-sized wasps that lay eggs in aphids? Do we see ladybug larvae, lacewing, et cetera, et cetera? Do we see these things? And if we do, and we also see ants flowing, well, the ants are going to mess with that. And so sometimes you could actually clear the tree just by banding it with some tanglefoot. You put some around the trunk that will be sticky so the ants can't cross it like flypaper. And then the aphids will be undefended, and nature can take its course and usually limit the populations considerably once the ants are gone. If I'm really worried about it, maybe I'll take a garden hose after it. If I don't see a lot of predators and parasites, then I will probably go ahead and just take a garden hose, go in there and wash those things down. Now, and that works pretty good. Although, the few that are left there begin to remultiply so fast it isn't funny. And so I maybe come back a week later and take a look and go, all right, do I wash the tree again? Or this time, should I escalate? Well, maybe I'm tired of it. Now I'm going to escalate. All right, because I've repeated several times. Other treatments? Well, so then oil and water. I use horticultural oil and water, and I'll go out and I'll spray the tree, and that usually takes care of it. Yeah. Usually takes care of it. Although it's an insecticide oil, it is possible to burn or damage a plant with it, etc., etc. All right. So there's a process if you got a green thumb. Now, if you got a black thumb, I actually know of people. Having been a manager of a nursery in California for many years and listened to people's plant problems, I know of people who have walked out, looked at their peach tree, saw aphids, went out, found a bottle of malathion, which you really don't have to go that heavy to control an aphid, although aphids are on the label, so it is appropriate, but they don't dilute it. They don't read the label. They take it and they pour it straight into a pump sprayer, and they spray pure malathion, undiluted, on the tree, of course, which naturally kills the aphids, but then also kills every leaf on the tree, and actually went so far as to kill living branches in the tree. I've seen that one before, definitely. I've seen other situations that were similar. While people utilizing insecticides because they saw a bug, they maybe didn't even know what the heck that bug was, but they saw a bug on their plant, and so they'd use an aerosol product that was designed for home pest control, but not for application on plants. These are out there. Your wasp sprays and things. These are not good for putting on your plants usually. And then so they really kind of destroy their house plant with the insecticide. So this, in a way, I'm making the analogy and comparison to black thumb, green thumb gardeners as to what I'm actually seeing out there in the world today with folks. They're reacting, they're feeling fear, they're seeing something that's troubling them, but the fear becomes the predominant motivator. It becomes the reason why they do what they do, rather than an indicator to assess the situation and make decisions as to how to deal with it or whether it even needs to be dealt with. Instead, they get the fear is real, and they take it and they basically internalize it, and it then becomes a good part of the hardwiring of the brain and affects the way the brain actually even develops, grows, and neuroplasticity, it's called. You can change your brain by the way you think, and it's true. It's real, and so the brain actually grows around this fear reaction. It tends to be, I guess, in people who are maybe a little bit more emotionally based in how they react to the world rather than science-based. If you're belief-based, then, I think I'll stop talking about this. Yeah. I see it, I feel it. It makes me sad. Yeah, it makes me sad. I'm sorry people are ending up in situations like that. It changes the nature and the structure of our entire society. It certainly kills optimism, even because of it, even my optimism has had to take a shift, Yeah, I'm optimistic about the world right here on this spot. As far as what the heck the rest of you are going to do with it out there, I'm not real optimistic at the moment about any of that. But again, I don't fear it. It is what it is. It's sad. Yeah, I suppose I feel more sadness and misery, I think, over it than I do fear. Oh, Gracie, are you wet? Look at you. Oh, my goodness, kitty. You need a towel. Oh, boy, where were you? Huh? She just shook off on my feet over here like a dog. Oh, you wet cat. Look at you. Oh, man, you're soaked. Yeah, you're just soaked. Yep. Here's my poor soaked kitty. You want me to dry you off, Gracie, huh? Yeah. Come on, let's go inside, girl. I'll find a towel, all right? That's it. Come on, let's go. Good girl. Okay, I'm coming. Yep. I knew it. This is girl's favorite drying spot, ain't it? Huh? Isn't it? Okay. Here's your towel. There you go. Oh, yeah. Oh, la cucaracha, la cucaracha. Yeah. No more cockroaches, huh? Look at your head. Head's all soaked, too. Oh, boy. Such a wet cat. Didn't you hear? We're actually exceptionally dry. Uh-huh. That's what the weatherman said this morning. How'd you get so wet? Say hello to everybody. Aloha.